Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third video in this Building Your Ultimate Modern SharePoint Online series. In this video, I will be joined by my good friend and colleague, Sebastien Levert. How are you doing, Seb?
I'm doing amazing, Vlad. What about yourself?
I'm doing great. Okay, so we've done the introductions, we've done the modern information architecture. I think now it's time for, well, as you said in the introduction, start actually breaking stuff.
Absolutely. We want to break stuff, want to play around, and getting started with building your first or thousand SharePoint Online Intranets. No matter how experienced you are, I think that's going to fit some of your needs. Are you ready, Vlad? Are
Let's
you
get started. I think
awesome?
we just have a little bit of housekeeping just before,
Ab-
just in case some people might actually fall on this video as their first one. In case you don't see Seb on the left side, here's a better picture of Seb when he was younger. But
a lot
uh,
younger.
think about not that much, like 4 or 5 years. But anyway,
Yeah.
uh, uh, but this is actually the third video in this series. So if this is the first video that you actually fall on, I highly recommend you check out the playlist. You will have the link in the description under the video and start from the top. I mean, all of the videos, they can stand on their own, but it's always more fun when you see the build up on how we got there and what is the goal. So this is it for the little housekeeping, Seb. I'll let you get started.
Awesome. Well, I think what is important before we start building our SharePoint Online Intranet, I think we want to kind of understand what are the different areas that we can use in an intranet to express ourselves, tell our story, communicate what we want to communicate. So there's a couple of, like we say, building blocks. One of them is organizational news. So basically, to transform your regular internal communication and really make it shine to keep people informed and engaged. Then afterwards, you want to build communication sites. Communication sites are there to really reach a broad audience across the entire organization with a dynamic internet site or anything you want to put in, any type of story you'd like to tell. Afterwards, you want to kind of identify what is your home site. Where does people start their day when they want to get to start their journey in your intranet? Where do they want to land? What's the first thing that you want them to see? That's going to be your home site. And that's going to be kind of a home for your organization, your division, your function. You're going to be able to create these home sites automatically. But also, there's another concept, a concept of hub sites, where you will want to not only have a home site, but also have related content. Think about a global sales hub where you could have worldwide locations with different sales organizations are all rolling up to this global sales hub. That's a way to centralize news, but also to distribute them, to search content, to do content management. It's the best way to get everything all together. Your SharePoint news will kind of help you engage your team. That's where you will want to create content, tell a story, make sure that all the users in your organization, all the employees are staying in the know because they're going to get all the important and personalized news across all their devices, from their mobile to their desktop to their Surface Studio to their Surface Hub to whatever you want to use. You always have access to these news at hand. It's super easy with news to create compelling communications. So you will want to add a bunch of different what we call web parts in SharePoint where you will be able to use them to express yourself and drag and drop all of those in a page to really tell a story. You will also want to um, leverage the automatic news distribution that we offer in SharePoint. A couple of areas where this happens. There is different web parts that allow you to roll up content to showcase what's the most recent or the most relevant for the connected user. There's also a newsletter that are being sent to users to remind them of articles and news that they might have seen in the past. You will be able to engage your audience with likes and comments and social resharing to multiple platforms. And more from a governance standpoint, you will be able to schedule. That is a highly requested feature to be able to say, you know what, this news is great, but I want it out today. I want it out next Monday at 9 a.m. Well, now it is possible to schedule news, to target, publish, distribute, and even measure the success of the news that you're sharing. SharePoint sites are a way to group these news also, are a container, an area where you want people to go in and share their news. It's a shared vision. It's kind of a way to bring different types of content together under the same roof. Is it a project? Is it a team? Is it a committee? Is it um, any type of smaller organization that wants to have an area to communicate and collaborate together? Is what a SharePoint site will do. You're going to be able to share the knowledge. So any document you store, any news you share, any list item you add to a list, any type of thing. You can also create something really interesting with microsites. So a site that has maybe just one page, but is very compelling. Maybe a vision about a product or a mission around the organization. That could be really, really great examples of microsites. And as it fits within the SharePoint space, it's also a great way to communicate SharePoint news. And they look beautiful. To be very honest, all of these sites are just stunning. A hub site, it's a way to organize your intranet. So you're going to be able to associate related sites. You're going to be able to create a hub with any site. You're going to be able to associate any site to an existing hub. You're going to be able to move them around based on reorg, based on changes in the organization. It's also a way for you to provide a hub for users. It helps with rolling up news because it has some superpowers of bringing the content of all the associated sites and roll them up automatically to the hub. So it means that when you're on the intranet hub, you're going to be able to see the news from all the different areas and all the different associated sites of your intranet. It's also a way to create consistency. Think about how you always want to see the same thing in the same color and the same place when you navigate from one site to the other. Well, Hub allows that. It allows to inherit from the theme of the hub. So it means that when a site is even attached to a hub, it's going to give, the hub is going to give the theme to that site. So all the sites will have a very similar look and feel. And it's also a great way to govern the site creation. For example, when you attach a site to a hub, there are ways to have approval or even to run a specific site design that will configure parts of your site, adding settings to some list, adding some security, creating columns, whatever you think from a configuration standpoint, this is possible just by joining the hub. So you always ensure that your governance is respected. And finally, it's also possible to connect and engage with open conversation. The connection that exists between Yammer, which is really the community-led product at Microsoft, and Intranet enables you to create a really, really rich environment to engage your users. Is it through conversations, through Q&A, or even through live events? You will be able to bring all of these together and highlight them within your site. So if you want to have one area, kind of a single pane of glass of to get to your content and also see what's happening from the community side of the house, well, it is all possible using Yammer integrations directly inside any of the sites that you're creating while staying fully secure and compliant with your organization's rules. So now, you want to break things? I'd love to break things. So let me
Let's let's
always
let's do it. Let's break things.
exactly. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just revert here to a demo. And this demo is one of the examples that exist on the. And we're going to come back to that platform, but on the lookbook. So we use the lookbook to create that site. And you can have a good idea of what the lookbook is in our tips and tricks
Yeah.
module.
But just to give a summary, you can basically get started with a site that looks like this in 5 clicks,
Ex-
basically.
ex- exactly, and it's I would see that as a way to inspire you, not necessarily a way to get your intranet from Microsoft, but it's an amazing thing, and I think it tells a really really interesting story. So now you want to start somewhere. You want to start creating content. And I think the easiest way to do it is to create your own site. By creating your own site, you will be able to go here to the, let me actually hide that thing here. No, that's not what I want. I don't want to do that. You're going to click on the SharePoint icon that you always see in when you're somewhere in SharePoint. And what's going to give you, what is that going to give you access to? This site here. This site is what we call the SharePoint home, where you can create either a news post or a site. And I really, really encourage you to create a site and start playing around. You can really, really benefit from that hands-on experience. So let's do it. I'm going to create a site. And in our case, I want to create a communication site. That communication site will be called, I'm going to call it Vlad Talks Tech.
I love it.
I know you are going to say that. And we're going to give it a little bit of description. Awesome site to start hacking around modern SharePoint. And you can select a language. There's a ton of languages that are supported here. And if you want to change it later on, it is possible, especially we're going to cover that in the multilingual module on how you can bring new languages to a site.
And just a little joke for the people that are like me, we're not gonna hack anything. We're just gonna build stuff. I know,
Yeah.
I know. Hacking took a lot of meaning recently for certain devs, but we're not gonna actually hack anything. Everything
No,
we'll do is supported and easy.
absolutely. You know,
I,
my
I always
background
make
is
fun of Seb with of the hacking and hackathon.
there you go. I used to be a dev, right? So I feel like I've been hacking my entire life. Um, so now I'm creating the site, and the first thing that you're going to notice is this is amazing. How quick was that? It took a second, and now I have a site that is available to me. Really, really cool. I'm the only owner of that site. It's a private site to me, so really, really cool thing. Now, when you're going to start, they're going to ask you to either utilize existing templates, and this is a really cool brand new feature that was shipped. So you can actually go here and browse templates and say, you know what, I'd like to have the crisis management, or I want to create a department, or leadership connection, or learning central, or any of these type of thing. And here you see it can be a blank, a topic site, a showcase, or whatsoever. So let's create, in our case, a topic site, which is, I would say, kind of the regular site that you might see in your intranet. So I'm going to go here. And now you see what are the different capabilities. I'm just going to hit use templates. It's going to take a couple of seconds to do that, and it's going to configure my site to be that way. There you go. Now I have my site. It's ready to go. And now I can even add more templates if I want to, but for now, I don't want to. The first thing you're going to want to do is to create content that is meaningful. The first thing I want you to do is to create a page, because I really believe that That's a very, very powerful way of telling a story. How do you create a page? You're going to go right here, top left on the new button, where you can create a news post. Let me go and create a news post. In here, I have a couple of templates, a blank template, which is going to give you basically a white page. You're going to have a visual template, which will give you exactly this. And this is super rich, very, very beautiful way of starting. Or you're going to have a basic text where it's a little bit more text heavy in the way that the template is built. But let me go to the visual one. I really like this one. I'm going to create a post. And now, a couple of seconds.
While this loads, Seb, I just wanted to mention because I know a lot of people have experience with page layouts in
Yeah,
previous versions of SharePoint. By the way, if you don't know what page layouts are, don't go Googling them. They're not important anymore, okay? But
exactly.
what I wanted to say is that those templates are flexible. They just give you a starting point, but you're not locked in that, let's say, a 3-1 column that you have here right now. They're just a starting point to make your life easier, but your creativity in a way is the limit. So don't think at them as like, I'm locked in stone, I cannot change anything. You're really flexible right now, which is awesome.
It is awesome. I'm going to show how you can actually take a template and really change it in a way that it makes sense for the story that you're about to tell. Sometimes you don't want an image and you don't want to leave an empty white box right there. That's not what you want. So let's start with the top. Let's call it something. So in this case, let's say we are building new products. And that's a great news. So that's the first thing you're going to want to add a title. An interesting thing is about here, you can actually create content on behalf of somebody else. So in that case, it automatically took my name and my position and my role. But if I want to create it on behalf of Vlad, I can go here and select Vlad Catrinescu as the user that created it. So especially in larger organizations, sometimes we will want to create on behalf of an executive or a CEO or a CTO or whatsoever. So in that case, it is absolutely possible. But for building new products, I don't know if that image of a beautiful lake, don't I think it's great, but that's not what I want. So how do I do that? Well, you can always change the image here. So you can go here and go to the image. And the best part for me is since Microsoft shipped the stock images, I don't have to figure out which image I'm going to use here. So let's call it, I'm going to add product. And now I have a bunch of different stock images that are pre-approved that you can use. You have the right to use them. And we're going to come back later on how you can add images, not necessarily to the stock images, but to have an organization-wide library of content in the org assets a little bit later. But let's say that we're creating new products around burgers because we like eating. Everybody likes eating. So now you see, I don't like the fact that the image here cuts my burger. I want to see the entire burger. So what I can do, I can use, and I'm going to come back here. You can use the set image focal point capabilities where I can just drag it down just a little bit to really tell the story that I want to tell. Now, let's look at the rest of this page. This page you see has a lot of different items, web parts, content on it. But you see on the left here that there are sections. Here we have a section that has a 2/3, 1/3. Here we have a section that is full width. Here we have a section that goes like from edge to edge. Here we have 3 different columns. Well, all of these are can be customized. So the first thing you will want to do is to edit the section. In my case, you know what? I don't want to have a small image here and a big text. What I want to have half and half. So I can select 2 columns, or I can actually select 3 columns also. But now I have an empty row, an empty column here. I don't want that. I want to have two columns, and I want to have that's it. That's what I want to have. And here I can use, for example, this first part of the text to say, "Hello, we are happy to announce the new burger products." And you can go on and on and on. It supports rich text formatting. You can go here, change this, go in bold, in italic, and underline. But if you're not happy with these options, you can always click on more. And now you really have the full potential of formatting the content straight from the UI. You don't need to know anything about code. You don't need to know anything about HTML. Just select what you want. I want to have this. We are happy because now I want to have a list, and because one, it's great, it will be delicious. Vlad adores burgers.
Oh, I do.
I know you do.
The way that I like to say it is, if you know how to write an email and do a Word document, you can create content in SharePoint now. Beautiful
Absolutely.
content.
Absolutely. And even if you have content that comes from Word, you can even copy paste inside a web part, and it will respect a vast majority of the formatting, which is great. You just have to do some light editing, and you're good to go. And here, I could change the image. In that case, not exactly my type, right? I'm gonna go back to the stock images, and I'm gonna do in that case burger. And I want to see one of the burgers, and this here looks absolutely delicious. And now I just changed the image. It's going to change. There you go.
There we go.
Where I can even add some text here.
And I think it's important to add the alternative text. It's something that often was, I wouldn't say it was not important, but a lot of content creators were skipping this part before the alt text. But it's really good that in the past few years, accessibility has become a core concept of building intranets. And even if you, and I hate to say this to you because now you might not do it, but even if you don't put a text there, Microsoft might automatically suggest a text for you.
Absolutely.
So even if some users are going fast, Microsoft SharePoint will try to actually add a text. But as you do it, please think at, and not everybody can see the image as clearly as you might be able to be. So do your best in adding meaningful alternative text because it can make a big difference for many of your users.
Absolutely. And you might be lucky and not have any disability, but it is important. And it really changes totally the experience for someone that needs to use a screen reader or that is visually impaired. It's definitely a huge difference here. And I'm so happy that SharePoint has that accessibility mission at its core. You're going to see basically everywhere in SharePoint, you're going to have the ability to add accessibility to some of the content that you're creating. So now we created the image. There's also ways to crop the image. So you can go in and change the image. I just want to have this part. So you know how you might have used like Photoshop skills in the past, or that person in the organization that had the Photoshop license that you ask them to do that cropping or whatsoever. Now it's all available straight from the um, from the web part. It's amazing. The experience is absolutely stunning. So now we created that two columns. You know what? I don't want to have this section here. Not only you can customize the section, but you can also move them around. So you can say, hey, I want to have my text before, or I can actually delete it. Now section is gone. I'm gonna stay with these beautiful leaves right there. It's fall season right now. I'm happy with this. Here you can have all of these. And I won't go into any all of these. These are images and all of that. But in the end, when you're ready to create your page, you always have the ability to modify what's in there, but also to add new section right from here. 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 1/3 left, 1/3 right, a totally full width, or even a vertical section. Vertical section is a great tools, I think, for resources. When you want to have like a list of links, or if you want to build almost like a table of content for this page, great option for these kind of content. Now we use the web parts that were already on that page. But what happens if you want to do more? You want to add a document. You want to add new types of content here. So what we're going to do here, we're going to create a 3-column area here where you're going to see that there are some plus bubbles that are appearing in the middle of our screen. What can we do with this? Well, we can click here, and now we have a really, really rich capability to add a bunch of different web parts. Web part to have a link, spacer, integration with stream, a hero web part, a button, YouTube videos, um, a file viewer. And I love to start with the file viewer because I think it's one of the really, really powerful web parts that we have. So you go here and you can find recent documents. I'm going to go to my OneDrive here. Might have actually nothing really relevant in here. So when I don't have anything relevant, what I do usually is I upload stuff. So let me upload a file here. I'm going to go here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find content. I'm just doing that on my other screen right now. I'm going to find this here. I'm going to add a sample document right there. So I'm going to do this one here. Not here. There we go. I'm going to add this Excel spreadsheet. So now it's being added to my files. Basically, I just added that file to OneDrive. I could add it to SharePoint if I wanted to. I could add it to any type of areas that I want. I just hit open. And now, that's interesting. It asked me to sign in. There we go.
I think that's because you added it to OneDrive. Most of the times, those will be added to the same site as the
Yep.
intranet if you want to share them.
Yeah, actually, right. Let me start that over actually, just to make sure that we have it in the right spot, so it doesn't require anything. So I'm just gonna go and upload that file, and that's gonna come directly inside this this site here. You're absolutely right. Now we don't have to log in anymore, and now I have this great Excel viewer right in line. So that's great. That's a new web part. And what is really, really cool is if I do this and I do that here, let me re-widen it a little bit, it's gonna all responsively adapt it to the browser you're using. So if you want to use it on the SharePoint mobile app, if you want to use it on any type of other devices, it's always going to give you the best experience possible. Then afterwards, let's do another one. I think quick links is a great one where you can add links to different areas, either to, for example, to existing documents, to existing pages. So I'm going to add a link to home. It's going to automatically detect that it's home. We're going to add the SharePoint logo. That's great. I can also do from a link. So let's say you want to do HTTPS, Vlad talks tag.com. That's right, Vlad, right?
Yep.
And I hit it here. The cool thing is that automatically it gets the information about that site and gives you a nice icon next to it.
And you can modify it as well.
Exactly. You can change, because here maybe I don't want to have the by Vlad Catrinescu. I prefer to use the Vlad talks tag. I can also change the icon. Vlad is a champion. So I'm going to search.
I don't think there's one for Vlad. Maybe a vampire. You might find a vampire one.
Maybe, but in that case, Vlad is always a winner. So I'm going to use a trophy here. And there you go. So now I was able to change that, and you can add as many links, internal, external. Keep in mind that any link that is in there, it needs to be available for the users to be able to consume it. If not, it's still going to be displayed, but when the user clicks on it, they might get an access denied, for example, to another area of SharePoint or to a document in OneDrive, like I did earlier. Another web part, and let's have a look at one. Maybe Vlad, which one is your favorite web part we could use here?
Ooh, let's see. So one of people web part actually, I see you have it right there, and
Yeah,
I think that's good. Whether it's a page or a news, you always might want to have, hey, who to contact about this content, whether it's a news
exactly.
owner, things like that.
Exactly. So in that case, it could be, in my case, it would be Seb, for example, to contact here, but it could also be other people from the organization. I think I should have a Carey Price, a big hockey fan here. So Carey Price is the CMO of this organization here. And potentially Brendan, also, we also have Brendan Gallagher, which are design lead. So and all of these, if Carey Price changes title, these will change automatically. So it's great. These are curated, so it's not like it's an organization chart, though there is a web part for that. But it's curated, so each news can have different set of people, or each page can have different set of people. Um,
And something that is cool also, if you go at the right, you see compact or descriptive.
true.
And for each web part, you're going to have multiple options of displaying it. Right now, of course, it's in the like third of a column, but if you drag this to, let's say, the top, and at the same time, we can show how you can drag web parts as well. If you drag it, you see how you can actually make that same web part, that same content look different. And if you go in descriptive, you can actually add a description or a profile link. So this is why I love the web part, because usually in a meet our team, you can have this kind of web part where the picture, the name, the title gets there automatically from AD, but also allows you to add some of the more stuff like, hey, this is what I love. Here's my links to my LinkedIn or some of the stuff I'm doing. So I really love this web part because there's no bad way to use it. You can always use a people web part. Uh,
Absolutely, and keep in mind that especially right now in that work from home era that we live right now, it might not be forever, but seeing faces connects us back. It's important to see the people you're working with. It's not just a bunch of avatars and names and chats. No, it's real people, and having that connection is, I believe, super important. So let's pretend that now we're very happy about this, right? I'm happy because I have my nice title. Vlad is the owner of this news. I have a nice background picture here, my text, burgers, images, the contacts. I have the planning, the Excel planning here, a couple of links, and random content at the end. So I'm ready. It used to be a time where posting a news was not easy. You had to go through hoops and hoops of steps and everything. But now you just hit post news and voila, you are now ready to go. This news was just created. And if we go back to the home of our site that we created earlier, what do we see here? Automatically, the news web part is picking up on that new content. When I click on it, now I can see the content is live, that I can comment and like. If I can like this one, I can comment on it. This is great news. And if I'm a little bit too lazy right now to read it, I can save it for later, and it's going to add it to the list of read later content that I have in SharePoint. So that's great. We were talking earlier, Vlad, about accessibility. We now have access to the immersive reader, so I can actually click on this, and automatically it's gonna change the content and will read that back to me. That's awesome capabilities for an intranet. This is like pure gold from an accessibility standpoint. And also, what is great is SharePoint is very transparent. So you can see the number of people that have been browsing this page. So we have, you can see the last 30, 90 days. Yeah, for sure now it's a little bit too big because it's been 2 minutes that it's published. But we have all of this and a heat map also of when people are using this. And it really tells a story to the owner on how people are using this and how people are liking this content. Really, really, really great way of understanding your customers when you're building this. Now, last thing that I wanted to share is this. You have the ability now to share this news via email or directly to Yammer. It's a way to engage people, to tell more people about what's coming up, about what you just shared. Amazing way to reach out to the rest of your community straight from here. So now let me go back to the home, and I want to spend a little bit of time just before we end this module on. We created news earlier, but everything in SharePoint is a page. But how do we create a page? How do we modify a page? Let me show you how you can take this page and modify it. How? Well, in the end, it's exactly the same technology that powers a page than the technology that powers news. Pages are news, actually, the other way around. News is our pages. So it means that all the skills that you're building creating news can also allow you to create rich pages that can be used as knowledge based articles, or that can be used also as landing pages for some of that content. Or you can just go here and start modifying, let's say, this web part, or you can modify the web part. And you know what? I don't want to have 5 tiles, I want to have 3 tiles. And I don't want to have this in the color, in this color here. I want to have it in I want to have it a custom image or an auto selected image, or here, and I can go again and use a stock picture that I want and change it automatically. In just a couple of clicks, I'm able to totally change the look and feel of any site, any page, any news. Gonna hit republish, and now I'm ready to go. And now my page was republished, and everybody that has access now can see this. So that's what I wanted to cover in this first getting started. Creating a site, creating a news, adding web parts to a page, configuring all of this so you can become more comfortable with the modern SharePoint stack, but also fairly soon you're going to be able to start with these skills and build your own intranet.
Awesome, Seb. Well, this is really the getting started. And I mean, there's so many more things we can do. And as an exercise, if you want, before going to the next course, go create your own site, create a new page, add a web part, and take a look at all of the available web parts that are there. There's no way we can cover all of them in a video because we're going to be here for about a week of nonstop if we want to go through all of the little details. But as an exercise for you, if you want to put the series on pause, create your own site, look through the web parts, look at all of the different options you have. This way you can have an idea of the possibilities that you have when you do your own intranet.
And
So
you saw how easy it was to configure a web part. So we don't need to tell you how to configure this web part or this web part. Add the web part, go through the configuration panel is gonna be shown, and you will be able to get things done really rapidly.
awesome. Well, this is it for this video. In the next one, what we will learn is how do we actually add a bit of navigation and then connect the site to a hub, which will enable us to have dynamic content later on. But this is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. This way you get notified when the new videos are coming up. But for now, Thank you very much and see you in the next one.